Throughout the Clone Wars, the Confederacy of Independent Systems inflicted devastating losses upon the Grand Army of the Republic in battles that raged across the galaxy. Two particularly destructive battles for the Republic were the Battle of Jabiim and the Battle of Duros, with the former cutting down thousands of clone troopers and numerous Jedi on the battlefields of Jabiim, and the latter having given the Separatists a position within the core of the galaxy through the planet of Duros. But even considering these two battles, there's another battle that stands out as a particularly decisive victory for the Separatists, not just in that it utterly annihilated the clone troopers on the battlefield, but also because of its important political consequences. In this video expose, I will describe the Battle of Parcellus Minor, and explain why it was such an important and decisive victory for the Separatists. Taking place in the second year of the Clone Wars, 16 months after the first Battle of Geonosis, the Republic and Separatist forces confronted each other on the planet of Parcellus Minor. Located within the expansion region of the galaxy, Parcellus Minor was a planet covered by swamp jungles. Importantly, as we'll come to see, the planet life that covered the planet exuded and discharged an organic resin called zeotine, which was extremely flammable and combustible. To protect the planet, the Jedi Order sent Master Ryley Costello, who was given command of the Republic's forces during the battle. As the Battle of Parcellus Minor started, the Republic was placed at a disadvantage almost immediately. Due to the unstable and swamp-like conditions on the planet's landmasses, the Republic wasn't able to land any of its necessary heavy equipment, thereby forcing Jedi Master Darte and the clone troopers to fight without the assistance of transports or artillery. As if the lack of heavy equipment wasn't bad enough, the Republic forces also found themselves completely outnumbered to the extent of 10-1. This was an unexpected shock for Darte and his forces on Parcellus Minor, resulting from the fact that Republic intelligence had grossly underestimated the size of the Separatist force that would be present at the battle. Finally, the Battle of Parcellus Minor became such a disaster for the Republic, and such a decisive victory for the Separatists, due to the fact that a sizable Separatist fleet arrived to the battle after the already outnumbered Republic fleet, thereby making retreat impossible for the Republic space and planet-side forces. Although Darte and his forces were vastly outnumbered, and suffered devastatingly heavy casualties among its clone trooper ranks, the Republic was still managing to fight off the advance of the droid army and prevent themselves from being completely overrun. However, what turned an already destructive battle for the Republic into a decisive Separatist victory was the decision of the Separatist commander at the battle to order a full-scale orbital bombardment of Parcellus Minor. Upon the commander's orders, the turbo lasers of the Separatist fleet above the planet started their bombardment of Parcellus Minor. In doing so, the Separatists were able to annihilate the Republic forces that still remained. But more importantly, the Separatists ignited the flammable zeotine resin that was exuded by the plant life covering the planet, thereby setting the entire planet ablaze and engulfing it in fire. Recognizing the approaching disaster, Darte ordered the clone troopers into a full retreat, attempting to save as many of the surviving remnant of clones that he could. However, due to the speed at which the planet was being destroyed and set aflame, Darte's evacuation had to be performed under extreme urgency and haste, thereby forcing him to leave behind every and all wounded clone troopers. In the end, although the Separatists had sacrificed a great number of their own battle droids, the inferno that engulfed Parcellus Minor decimated the forces of the Republic. The percentage of soldiers that were killed was staggering, with over 90% of all clone troopers deployed to the battle having died on Parcellus Minor. This level of casualties shocked the Grand Army of the Republic, with the battle being called a second Battle of Jabiim. Although the total number of clone troopers that died may not have reached the 10,000 that were lost at Jabiim, the casualties inflicted upon the Republic forces certainly provided the Separatists with a devastating and decisive victory at Parcellus Minor. But it should be noted that the Separatist victory did not just take place on the battlefields of Parcellus Minor, as in addition to the military victory that was achieved, the Separatists also gained a major political victory through the Battle of Parcellus Minor as well. 2 days after Darte was able to successfully evacuate himself and the few remaining clones off of the planet, the Jedi Master went before the Jedi High Council to describe the events of the battle. However, in addition to the 12 Jedi members of the High Council, also sitting in on the debriefing were Republic Senators Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and Ascat, who were looking for the truth behind what happened at Parcellus Minor and the cause of its destruction. Ultimately, as the events were described by Darte, Senator Ascat angrily stormed out of the High Council chamber and came to blame the Jedi for the destruction of Parcellus Minor, and the destruction of every planet that had previously occurred in the war as well. This reaction from Senator Ascat was not a minor or temporary one, as he would go on to become a strong supporter of Supreme Chancellor Palpatine and a strong opponent of the Jedi Order. In fact, Senator Ascat and those he was able to influence within the Senate went on to become the leading proponents of the Enhanced Security and Enforcement Act, an act that not only granted Palpatine far-reaching political powers, but would ultimately come to place the Jedi Order under the command of the office of the Supreme Chancellor. It was this legislation that would drive a wedge between the Jedi and the Senate, and also create the environment in which Palpatine could manipulate events to depict the Jedi as traitors to the Republic. Therefore, from a military and political point of view, the Separatist victory at Parcellus Minor was far-reaching and vitally important. So there we have it, how the Battle of Parcellus Minor was the most decisive Separatist victory of the Clone Wars. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me, for Crossguard lightsaber variant.